enough, God will do exactly what we want God to do. For those of us who really expect God to do what we want, because our miracle is the one that God should work, it's the right reason, letting God be God, that's hard to understand. But the reality is God is God. And God does what God decides to do. God does not take orders from us. God does not take direction from us. God does the impossible when God decides to do the impossible. So rather than growing frustrated as we tell God what to do, as we beg God what to do, as we try to reason with God and tell God our miracle is the one that should be worked, perhaps we can spend our energy looking at the small miracles God works in our lives every day. For me, one of the great miracles of life is antibiotics. 100 years ago, people died from a tooth abscess. 100 years ago, I would have been dead in my 20s from all the sinus infections I get. 100 years ago, people were afraid to have surgery because of the infections that would come. Antibiotics today are an absolute miracle. Cell phones. Think about World War II, when people were divided from their loved ones who were soldiers for years. They didn't see them, they couldn't hear their voice. Just think of what a cell phone would have meant to those families at home and the soldiers on the front. Arriving at our destination safely after driving 70 miles an hour or more in an automobile is a miracle we take for granted. Frankly, I think it's amazing that we don't have accidents every single day. But the miracle is that we get where we plan to go, because not our driver's ed teachers, although thank you very much, driver's ed teachers, but because something or someone helps us to get there safely. Watching plants grow in the ground is a miracle. Watching a sunset is a miracle. Giving generously to any cause, to me, is a miracle. For instance, our Noisy Can offering this month, is for the Good Samaritan Fund. I consider it a miracle that anyone chooses to give good money from their own pocket to help people outside of our congregation who don't have enough. The willingness to give generously to others. And when those folks get a gift card and put groceries in their refrigerator and feed their children. When we give generously so someone can keep the lights on. When we give generously so a child can have shoes. When we give generously so that someone we don't know can afford to buy the medicine they need, to me, that is a miracle. And if we choose to today, we can be part of working a miracle by giving to the Good Samaritan Fund. See, friends, I think we've forgotten to notice all the miracles in our lives. Instead, we focus on complaining when God doesn't work the miracle we expect or want. Anything is possible for God, even though we don't get to tell God when to do the impossible or how to do the impossible. Doing the impossible is God's decision, not ours. So for me, God is kind of like the U.S. Postal Service. Has anyone ever complained about the Postal Service? I'll take your laughter as an affirmative. We complain about the Postal Service, but for 49 cents, the Postal Service will take a piece of paper from me here in Manitowoc, Wisconsin, and deliver it to some remote area in Alaska. 49 cents. That's a miracle. We can complain about everything we want to, but if we look around in our lives and look around in our world, we can see all the miracles that God is working. The impossible is being done. We ask God to do the impossible, and then God does the impossible, and we still complain. If we would only open our eyes and our hearts, we would begin to see the miracles God is doing, because God does the impossible every single day. We just fail to take notice. I don't know why God works miracles. I used to think I did, and then I realized it wasn't anything I was asking. I don't know why God works miracles, but if we pay attention, we will witness God doing the impossible every single day. And maybe, like Sarah, instead of complaining, we can laugh with joy and amazement and even a touch of silliness at all the amazing things God is doing today. Amen.